Welcome, everyone, to a special edition of BetaKit Live, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Satish Kanwar. I'm the co founder of Good Future, a family office investor and operator, as well as the CEO here at BetaKit. And joining me today is Coinbase's country director, Lucas Matheson, an old colleague and good friend. Thank you for being here, Lucas.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited about our conversation today because we together get to explore exactly what is happening in crypto in Canada and how Coinbase is working towards growing and driving adoption and interest and optimism in crypto, and what that all means for the state of innovation in Canada's economy and the opportunities and challenges there. So I think this is particularly timely given what's been happening in the market, and especially interesting given some of the news that you have to share today. So I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everyone knows what Coinbase is, and as a user myself, super comfortable with the platform. But I think the why of Coinbase is especially exciting. So I'd love for you to share with the audience what is the mission of Coinbase.
Yeah, absolutely. The mission of Coinbase is to increase economic freedom in the world and to update the financial system. We use a financial system that is built on old technology. It's a fairly archaic system that we use, and it's not working well for Canadians, and it's not working well for people in general. There's 1.7 billion people in the world who are unbanked or underbanked, and this isn't by design. And technology is really the only equalizer that can change this. I don't think a government is going to change the equality of money in the world. I think it's technology that's going to revolutionize this opportunity to help billions of people access a system that's fair and that treats us all the same. And our industry in crypto is premised on math.
Mhm.
And math doesn't discriminate. It treats everyone the same. And so we're really trying to help update the financial system around the world and increase economic freedom.
I love how that ethos goes back to fairness and inclusion because I think that's especially relevant to the topic of today and to what Canadians care most about in our financial system. And of course, we're together today because you have a very important and exciting milestone, not just for Coinbase, but for crypto in Canada. And I would love if you could share with us what's been announced today, what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big milestone for Coinbase in Canada. We're now registered as a crypto trading platform, which is a big deal. Registration in Canada is a big deal. Not just for us to operate our business and help as many Canadians as we can access the digital economy, but it's important because that's not what we're seeing around the world. Canada is unique in that we have a strong regulatory framework in Canada, and we know regulation is important for Canadians. We recently did a study where 72% of Canadians told us that registration of crypto trading platforms was important. We know that 40% of Canadians aren't aware that crypto trading platforms are regulated in Canada, and about a third of Canadians have told us that they would be willing to buy more digital assets if they knew that crypto was in fact regulated in Canada. And so
Mhm.
one of the things that our industry is really focused on right now, with government and with the public, is just helping Canadians understand that we're in a privileged position, that we have a strong regulatory framework in Canada. We have, Coinbase is a trusted, compliant platform that is, supervised by our government and that they can use. And for any Canadians that are diversifying and building a long-term portfolio, this is just a normal part of their, this will soon become a normal part of their everyday portfolio, and just helping Canadians get more comfortable with the fact that, crypto is here to stay. It's an asset class that is here to stay, and we're doing, everything we can to help, Canadians better understand the opportunity that we have here in Canada.
And it's a signal about the fact that it's here to stay, that it's not about just access, but about trust and understanding that, the role of crypto in the future of money is so central to the way Canadians could bank and should bank. And I think that public private partnership that Coinbase has demonstrated over these last 2 years with regulators is so critical to us opening up faster paths for tech adoption and understanding in the country. It really shows that everyone is invested in shared outcomes around the table and working towards things that are here for the betterment of Canadians. And Coinbase making that focus investment on this regulation path and on building up trust and confidence in the Canadian market, I think really is an important step to what lies ahead. And it's probably underappreciated the kind of role this plays in the message of economic inclusion and economic access and equality for all. because there's so many other related issues that BetaKit has covered, like open banking and payments modernization and competition, that all relates back to the Canadian market and Canadians having open and accessible mechanisms for their money and for the way that they want to bank and store and transact. And sounds like this is an incredible milestone for you folks.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time. Like one good example with our regulators and just the way that our governments are working more collaboratively with industry is, take Sierra as an example, which is the regulator responsible for regulating banks in Canada. They've provided us, a monthly meeting where we can meet with
Hmm.
them and discuss opportunities to build a strong regulatory framework here in Canada. And so I agree. The collaboration that we've had with our government has been very strong. We have obviously really strong leadership in Canada around technology, specifically in crypto. And
Hmm.
it's great to see our leaders in crypto working so closely with government to help us build a regulatory framework that makes sense for Canadians. So Satish, I'm curious, how did you get involved in crypto? What's your story?
I think my story is probably not that different from a lot of Canadians, at least in the tech crowd. I think around 2017, I looked back at my first Coinbase account registration, and it came from a genuine point of curiosity and wanting to learn and experiment. But setting it up and depositing a little bit of money, I think I was still had this apprehension of like, is my money going to be there? Is this even legal? How much money should exist in this kind of framework? And of course, now I wish I had put a lot of money into that framework back in 2017. But I've had the opportunity over those 7 years to learn a lot more about crypto and grow my familiarity and exposure to it. But I think a lot of Canadians now are probably very similar to where I was 7 years ago. The tooling has gotten a lot better. Based on what you're sharing today, I think the support and trust framework from the government has gotten a lot better. But I think these same feelings of like, why is this important? Where does it fit into my economic and money strategy? I think are things that people need support on understanding to still match to their curiosity about crypto. So it makes me curious, like how Coinbase tells a better story about money and reduces this like feeling of being overwhelmed or confused about crypto for Canadians.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, 2 out of 3 Canadians think that crypto is too overwhelming for them to understand the implications of. And the reality is that, we're at a place right now where Canadians in general are the third most crypto aware country of all the international markets that we look at. And so
Hmm.
Canadians in general understand crypto. I think they understand the benefit. And when you look at where we are right now with in Canada, I think people are generally really excited about the opportunity. I think most Canadians understand the technology is far superior than the technology we're using today. I think a lot of Canadians are cautious given the price volatility of some of the assets and the focus from media and our government specifically on the price discovery of some of the assets in crypto relative to the utility and the infrastructure and the reasons why the world is moving to digital. And I think Canadians are generally a little bit overwhelmed with, understanding like how does this technology work? What is a blockchain? How does Bitcoin actually work? And I think we're in a we're moving towards a place where it's getting easier for more Canadians to get access to cryptocurrency and learn about cryptocurrency. And it is a challenge. Money is maybe the greatest story that's ever told. We're telling a brand new version of the story of money.
Hmm.
It's something that's changed dozens of times over thousands of years. We started with seashells. We moved, little pieces of metal. We moved to coins with different pictures on them. Now we have money, and now we have money in a bank account that's in a central database effectively. And now we're telling a new version of money that's about equality. It's about decentralization. It's about a trustless, permissionless system that in math we trust. In math we trust. We the blockchain treats you the same as it treats me. It doesn't discriminate at all. Math just doesn't discriminate. And I think, that's something that I think a lot of Canadians can resonate with. I think it's something that a lot of the systems in Canada, are designed around these values around transparency, around equality, around
Hmm.
fairness. And I think for a lot of Canadians, this is an opportunity for them to participate in a system that treats us fairly. And I think that's we know that's important for Canadians.
Do you think crypto is something that all Canadians can take advantage of?
Yeah, I think, I think crypto is becoming just a normal part of our like everyday portfolio. I think we're seeing that in the institutional side of the world. And for a lot of Canadians that are thinking about investing or they are investing for the long term, if they have a portfolio, I think digital assets will just become a normal part of everyone's daily portfolio. And I expect my children, I have 3 kids. I expect most of them will be using mostly digital assets when they grow up.
Hmm. Yeah, I hope one of the most valuable things I could give our son is access to a little bit of Bitcoin that I,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
put away, but more because I have the ownership and right and ability to do that,
Yeah.
and that's I think very important. Back to your earlier example of if I have $500 in my bank account, what does that mean? Any different from the opportunity and access to what crypto I have in my wallet? I think there's actually a more structured awareness of what that could mean for most people.
Storytelling is an important thing. I'm curious, you've been storytelling in technology at Shopify for over a decade. You've recently acquired BetaKit. You're helping technology leaders across the country tell stories about technology, and helping more Canadians understand technology
Mhm.
and how important it is. I'm curious, like, how do you think about storytelling?
I think storytelling is one of the most powerful tools that we have as people. Stories transcend culture and borders and time and generations and concepts. And stories have the ability to win not just hearts and minds, but really to enact change in the environment. And our work here at BetaKid has really been about positioning the Canadian audience to better understand the importance and role and optimism of what technology is doing as a story itself for the future of Canada. And that really for us stems back to, for those of us that were here in the heyday post 2008 of tech and build mode in Canada, there was this like special attachment to the transformation that was happening as a result of tech innovation in the country. I think post pandemic, what we realize is that the next generation of builders and technologists, and now the general population of Canada, didn't have that same direct kind of empathy and direct relationship to what was happening in technology itself. And the consequence of that is people either feel like nobody cares about what they're doing and the technology that's being developed, or worse is that nothing is happening. And we know
Yeah.
that neither of those could be further from the truth, but I think that goes back to the importance of telling those stories in a way that are accessible, available, truthful, and informative, so people have the ability to kind of attach themselves to a narrative and to a system of hope and an optimism about what the future has in store for them. And BetaKit is a vehicle for telling these better stories, good or bad, but truthful about the innovation and work and opportunity that we have in the Canadian economy. And so that's what's been so important for us about BetaKit. And I think it ties back to what you're sharing about crypto is like these things are such a central part of the future of the Canadian landscape. And we need as many people as possible to build a direct and strong relationship to what these concepts and the work in these industries is going to be, because it's going to underscore what the future economy of Canada has for it in the ways you described. Yeah, it's going to be critical to every person's relationship with their money.
Yeah.
And so, for me, that's where BetaKit fits in really telling a better story about Canadian tech and the challenges that it's trying to overcome. I'm curious what other challenges for storytelling in crypto you and Coinbase are also trying to solve.
I think a lot of what we're trying to do now is just demystify. I think, I've spent a lot of time over the last year meeting with departments of government across federal and provincial governments, associations and businesses in Canada. And I think we're at a very early stage in just demystifying exactly what digital assets are and why the world is moving to digital. I think we're seeing, leaders from some countries around the world taking a very proactive position on
Mm,
establishing their countries as leading hubs in crypto and helping their citizens understand the importance of this shift and the importance of digital assets. And I think that's that's part of the opportunity for us in Canada is to find champions inside of government, to find champions inside of business and tech leaders who are willing to help storytell,
Hmm.
right? Help Canadians understand why this is important, why the world is moving digital, and how to learn more about it. And that's really what we're trying to do is help more people in Canada get access to digital assets, but firstly just to learn about it. And I think that's where a lot of Canadians are right now. They're curious about it, they're learning about it, and they're trying to figure out how to do this safely, in a safely compliant way. And now that our system and industry now is regulated in Canada, I think this is a good opportunity for more Canadians to pay attention.
I think everything about regulation underscores the ability for Canadians to trust what's happening. I think what we're talking about here is also how to then build optimism, because trust and optimism are still are correlated, but very different in terms of that end outcome that I think we're all looking for, whether it's in crypto or in other key technologies. We're trying to drive towards adoption, and adoption requires both the systems of trust, but that kind of positive kind of attention optimism towards that goal. And I think telling these great, clear perspectives about what's on the other side of the rainbow, what's the opportunity, what are the use cases, what are the pathways to the future for Canadians, increases this positivity, and that I think is ultimately what's going to drive us fastest towards some of these adoption goals is not just the access, not just the trust, but the stories that build this optimism for what the future has.
Yeah, I agree. And look, Canada, we deserve the best technology in the world, right?
Hmm.
And not because it's not an affordability issue. I mean, we have some of the best engineering talent in the world. We have some of the best technology companies in the world. We have some of the best universities in the world. Most people, I think, don't even appreciate that Ethereum was founded at Waterloo. Vitalik was at Waterloo, founded Ethereum. We have dozens of companies. I know Coinbase specifically has invested in almost 10 companies in Canada. We have so much talent here. I'm curious, how are you thinking about innovation in Canada? Like where are we at in terms of innovation in Canada? And what are you seeing in across like BetaKit's work with technology leaders and companies here?
I love the Vitalik reference because I saw last week the story trending of Sam Altman's picture in a Waterloo hoodie as
Yeah.
well, and I think it goes back kind of time and time again. You look at AI now, crypto before, mobile before that, and you can kind of keep on going back. And Canada's played such a central role in key leaps of innovation and technology over time, but we've always seemed to lack the ability to follow through in the economic gain that comes from it. And I think that's really the part that ultimately, when you go back to what is the relationship that the average Canadian has to our innovation sector, there are more stories of difficulty than triumph because of the gap in following through in that way. The Conference Board of Canada coined this as the Canada's innovation paradox. We have this huge pool of highly educated, technically savvy, intelligent workforce. We have all this R&D capacity and capabilities and this track record, and then there's just this gap between those moments and our own economy benefiting from the economic advantages that come from being at the forefront of these things. And that's showing itself now in labor productivity rates that I think we've all seen the growing urgency on the gap that's there, with Canada's growth rate being less than half that of the US. That's following in how AI adoption in Canadian businesses is now less than half the rate of US businesses. But it just ties back to the fact that we're at the forefront of building these things, and we lack the follow through in commercializing and benefiting from these things in our own business economy. So that's probably the most formative challenge that we have for the future of Canada, because the Canadian economy 20 years from now requires a lot more from our innovation sector than what it does today, especially when you look at the trend lines of all the other ways that we create economic value. This is the collective bet that we have to make, and so we collectively need to step in to more of the challenges, which starts with accepting or acknowledging that this is a problem. You want, much like private sector leaders are, public sector leaders, to acknowledge that this is an issue, it's a priority issue, and that Canadians need to hold their elected officials accountable too for how their agenda and focus on innovation is underscoring all the work that we do. We also have to just be like better about celebrating the successes that we have, because that all of the things we're already accomplishing are the things that give everyone confidence that we can go further and we can do more and we can build from here. And when you start to do those things, it changes the sea of potential and people's belief set that we can go further, we can build stronger, and ultimately, it's those votes of confidence that results in redirecting capital, where venture dollars and LP dollars and even shred dollars is a whole other subject, go in better places because people understand the problem and what we're building towards. And I think there's a lot of work to do. And we talk about this all the time as being important, but I think the urgency has just kind of gone way up, and it's time to start ringing those alarm bells. And much like what Coinbase has done with the regulators, I think it's going to take more public and private partnership across all dimensions, not just regulation, but commercialization and government procurement and tax incentive programs. Everything requires more of this partnership so that we can enact change faster and have buy-in from both sides. That's the way that people are going to care. That's the way we're going to get past this kind of current chicken and egg problem of, going from we're lovely academics to we are a world-class economic representation of what innovation can do.
Yeah, I agree. I think the opportunity for us is to move to shift from research and development and focus on intellectual property to really helping our technology companies commercialize and sell outside of Canada. And I think that's really the opportunity for us in Canada, is to help our government get better access to the leadership in Canada around technology. One of the things that we've seen in government is there's very few people. In fact, I don't know of a single person in our federal government that's working full time in digital assets. One of the things that we've appreciated is that it's hard for government to hire deep expertise in segments of the economy that are quite competitive. And that's why I think in digital assets specifically, our government has been able to leverage a lot of the insights from leadership around cryptocurrency and technology leaders in Canada to help educate them, help contribute to a framework specifically in regulation, but also just helping our government work more closely with leadership is just a huge opportunity. And I think it's something that we're doing in crypto, but I think can span across so many sectors of our economy.
Now, you mentioned kind of collaboration with the sector, and earlier you talked about a lot of the venture investments that Coinbase has made in Canada. And I think something folks may not realize is how much Coinbase sits as a kind of partner across many of the other kind of innovators in the crypto arena here in Canada. Can you tell us more about your relationship into the tech and startup ecosystem and how that fits into the work that you're doing?
Yeah, Coinbase has been like really deeply involved in helping early stage startups in Web3. We have a venture arm within the company. We've invested in I think 9 companies in Canada, startups, just incredible companies and technology companies that have been building in Web3 and blockchain ecosystem. I think one of the things that we're trying to do specifically with Base, which is a layer 2 protocol that we built on top of Ethereum, is build the infrastructure to help more entrepreneurs build quickly in Web3. And building on Base has proven to have been a really easy way for people to do that, specifically in just integrating their existing technology into DeFi, into crypto. And that's just one of the ways that we're sort of empowering more entrepreneurs with just the tooling to build faster and build safe applications within Web3.
Yeah, because there's leadership that's happening, on Parliament, in regards to government and in collaboration. There's your leadership in really showing Canadians what this story and future of money can look like for them, but it's also leadership in cultivating a full generation of new crypto technologies and tools that, hopefully, build this broader umbrella of trust and access for people. And I think that's a really comprehensive approach that Coinbase is taking in the market to ensure that not only are you making things possible, but you're really investing across all dimensions to make it happen.
Yeah, and absolutely, and one of the things that we're looking for right now, and working towards, is finding champions in government who are willing to step out of the safety net of focusing on risk, which
Mhm.
has been sort of the priority of our government, has been focused on risk. The focus on media has been primarily on risk of digital assets and of AI specifically. I think we need more leaders in Canada talking about the future and why it's important, and giving Canadians the confidence that technology is like a strong path forward. It's something that we need to think deeply about. It's something we need to prioritize as a country. And if we're going to shift our direction as a company and start competing internationally as a country, we're going to need to start embracing technology and prioritize it in a much more um, systematic way. And I
Mhm.
think, when we look around the world, we were seeing leaders around the world acknowledging that technology needs to be an important part of an economy. It needs to be an important part of the government services that are provided to us. I mean,
Mhm.
certainly, Canadians pay our fair share of taxes, and we expect government services to work for us. And those government services need to embrace the latest and greatest technology to provide the efficiencies that we need as a country to be able to compete. And I think the opportunity for us is, as technology folks in Canada, is to help prioritize technology in general, to
Mhm.
help more Canadians celebrate the successes that we're having. And with the work that you're doing, obviously with BetaKit, helping more Canadians understand the opportunity with technology in Canada, so that we can work together to build a country that is technology friendly.
Mhm. And that's such a precise way to start the change, is government adopting technologies that have critical investment and effort coming out of Canada is kind of a natural way to start filling the bucket and have again, like a broader amplification of trust and interest, and at the end of the day, services for Canadians. So there's probably no better place to start than that.
Yeah, and even in our government, there's an industry standing committee report that came out last year, which was a group of members of parliament that got together and wrote an industry paper on the future of money and crypto, and it included recommendations to our government. And I couldn't have written it better myself. I mean,
Mhm.
it had recommendations uh, um, around educating Canadians about crypto, around the benefits of self custody, and the importance of self custody of our assets, and the opportunity for a government to actually use blockchain and use the infrastructure to help our economy, help our government operate more efficiently. And so I'm really excited about, like, the fact that we do have leaders in government in Canada that are keen to help us change.
And when you're speaking with members of government, you're at Parliament, talking about regulation in the crypto sector. What is the attitude or the level of engagement that you see on the other side? Reports like this, is there an acceptance towards these recommendations?
Yeah, I think it's becoming increasingly clear to leaders in the government that crypto is here to stay. I
Hmm.
think even when we look at leaders across banks, across our regulators, across all the departments that we've met with, I think there's a genuine, like, understanding now that the digital economy is like a real thing. It's not going away. It's something that we need to understand, and there's certainly risks that we need to mitigate and work on together. And as we've been talking about, we've been working on those for years.
Right.
And now it's the opportunity for us to shift and help evangelize the opportunity for Canadians to get access to the digital economy. And certainly, I think, in government, I think the sentiment right now is just curiosity and learning. I think the
Hmm.
biggest opportunity in what our industry, we have two very strong industry associations in Canada. We work very closely with our industry over the last year. We've really come together to help unify our perspectives and help work together on regulatory framework, but also educating members of parliament,
Hmm.
educating our Department of Finance, educating the Bank of Canada. We've all spent a significant amount of time bringing in experts from Coinbase specifically. I mean, I'm in a unique advantage position at Coinbase that we have been around. Coinbase is, a publicly traded company that's been around for over a decade. We have some of the OGs of crypto that
Hmm.
work at Coinbase, and I've been very fortunate to be able to bring in senior leadership from across our company to all the departments that we have the opportunity to meet with to help educate and demystify some of the perceptions around crypto and just helping our government understand the extent to which Coinbase has invested in compliance, invested in security, invested in all the infrastructure to keep these assets safe,
Hmm.
and really help shift the mindset of our leadership to help understand the opportunities and how we can take advantage of them in Canada.
So by no means has it been a simple path to where you are today in the journey for Coinbase here
No,
in
it's
Canada.
I mean, that's where we're at right now. We are helping Canadians and members of our parliament understand the opportunity. And that's like we've been talking about. The opportunity is right now for us to prioritize and reprioritize technology in general. I mean,
Hmm.
digital assets specifically is what I'm focused on, but more broadly, just helping government prioritize this technology because it is important.
Hmm. And it really takes, all of this effort and investment of not just capital but energy and making sure that we can carry the whole system forward into what the future opportunity here is. We talked a lot about challenges, but this kind of collaboration, this willingness, the interest from so many Canadians that appear to already be adopting crypto and digital assets, I think, are all really good signs about the potential that's sitting there that we have to cultivate and we can build a lot of this future promise of Canada on top of is this critical wedge and now hopefully a full new chapter for Coinbase with Canadians understanding and pushing forward in what they expect from the technology that they work with and from the systems that they operate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Coinbase, we have over 200 engineers across the country from Victoria all the way to Newfoundland. Actually, I met somebody from Newfoundland that flew into Toronto last week. We have really focused on making this as easy as possible for Canadians. I think, as I mentioned, 2/3 of Canadians think that this is too overwhelming for them to really understand the implications of, and that's just simply not true anymore. Coinbase has spent so much time and effort making this as easy as possible for people to use. And I tell people if you can use Angry Birds, if you can play Angry Birds, you can use Coinbase.
Mhm.
And, one of the opportunities for folks that are curious about digital assets is to use Learn, which is like a tool inside of Coinbase to help them learn about different protocols and different tokens within the ecosystem. And you actually can earn digital assets by doing it. But it's a
Mm.
great opportunity for Canadians just to learn about digital assets and sort of jump in the pool and sort of get going. And, for us, we've really focused on trying to make it as easy as possible for Canadians to move money in and out of the platform. And that's some of the feedback that we've had is just the opportunity for us to make it easy. We've implemented Interact, so you can almost instantly move money into Coinbase now
Nice.
and withdraw money from your account. We're focused on building, more payment rails to make it even easier for people to move money in and out of Coinbase. And we have a lot planned in terms of expanding this types of products and services that we have available. And certainly, this is because of financial regulation. One of the things that we're doing is working with regulators on expanding the opportunities for us to bring different types of products and services into Canada for Canadians. And this will take time. We have a
Mhm.
very stringent regulatory framework here in Canada that we're starting from. It's great that we have this. It's important that we have a strong regulatory framework that people can trust. There's certainly a lot of opportunity for us to grow that over the years. And we'll look forward to spending time with government, with our policymakers on expanding that opportunity for Canadians. And that's what our industry is really focused on doing
Mm.
right now.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, but it's incredible to hear how much of a priority market Canada has been for Coinbase and the thoroughness in which you folks are approaching making this more accessible and more available to Canadians at large. I'm curious, Lucas, as a leader here in Canada yourself, what are you most optimistic about for innovation and the state of things here at home?
I opened my Coinbase account 10 years ago now, and I've been in this space learning about it. I've been someone who's been super curious about just the asset class and the technology. As somebody who's not an engineer myself, I've spent a lot of time trying to learn about how these protocols work, how a blockchain works, and I'm really most excited to help as many Canadians as possible access the digital economy. And so, in fact, why I took on this role is because I really believe strongly in this industry. I really believe strongly in the technology and the opportunity for Canada to take advantage of this, and I don't want us to get left behind. And so I'm keen just to help as many Canadians understand how to get access to the digital economy and just learn about it.
I love that. And, as fellow builders, I think, it's really important for, every facet of Canadian innovation and tech adoption to grow and to do better, because that's the amplifying effect we'll see in waves over the decade to come. Is by building and expanding on these things together. And so I'm stoked about the role of crypto in Canada, about growing tech optimism in Canada, and I think the work you folks are doing are really pivotal parts of what happens next. So
Thanks so much, Satish. It's great to be here. Great to chat with you, and appreciate everything.
yeah, thank you for joining us. And for anyone that's interested in learning more about Coinbase's announcement today, you can check out coinbase.com. And of course, to keep a tab on what's next, there's always betakit.com. Cheers.
Thanks.